All right, so we continue with our journey into the creed, and today we are looking at the fifth article of the creed. He descended into the dead. On the third day, he rose again. Some versions of this article have hell in place of the dead, to say he descended into hell. On the third day, he rose again. How did Jesus go into hell? How and why? So the article is basically talking about two things. It is talking about Jesus descending into the dead, or Jesus descending into hell. And then the second part is talking about Jesus rising from the dead. So to begin our discussion regarding Jesus descending into the dead, we are going to read a verse from 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 20. But now Christ has been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who have fallen asleep. So here is the thing. If Jesus died, and as we know that Jesus truly died on the cross, if he died, then it means that he must have gone to the place where the dead go to. Hence, the part he descended into the dead. Now, from the Old Testament tradition, there's a place called Sheol. That place is a place where people, whether they are good or bad, go to when they die. It is a place of the dead. Now, when I say place, we shouldn't have in mind a physical or a geographical place. Let us still call it place, but not in the sense of a physical place or a geographical place. If you want, you can even call it a state of existence. When Jesus died, that is where he went. And when he went there, he went to do a mission. He went to do something there. And this belief was very strong among the Israelites, among the Jews, that there is this existence called Sheol, where somebody, when they die, their soul or that person goes to that particular place before they finally meet their creator. That is, if they died as a righteous person. Later, that place called Sheol came to be understood as hell. Not as hell in the sense of Gehenna, but hell in the sense that in that place called Sheol, people are deprived of the vision of God. So when Jesus dies and he goes to that place, he goes to preach and redeem those souls that are trapped in that existence called Sheol, so that if they died a righteous person, they're going to be redeemed, they're going to be saved from that existence, so that they finally join the glory of God, or they go into the kingdom of God. And that, according to our own Catholic faith, that was the final messianic mission of Jesus. I know this issue is still quite controversial, because people want to understand the mention of hell in this article as the same thing as Gehenna, when Jesus talks about a place where those who died unrighteously will go to cry, to weep, and gnash their teeth. The second part of the creed talks about Jesus rising again. The evangelists are all agreeable on this fact that the resurrection of Jesus is a historical event. A historical event, according to the Bible, is an event that actually happened, because it is not all the events that you read about in the Bible that actually happened concretely. It's not all the events. So in biblical theology, when we talk about a historical event, we're talking about something that actually happened. It is not something that Christians just woke up one day and made up, but something that happened. And one of the proofs of the resurrection itself as an event is the empty tomb. All the evangelists that record the resurrection, even though they don't give all the details as in exactly how it happened, they all talk about the empty tomb. That when the disciples went there, they did not find him, which means Jesus had risen. Now, when we're talking about the resurrection of Jesus, we have to draw a distinction between resurrection in the case of Jesus and resuscitation in the case of Lazarus. Jesus was not resuscitated because what he went through was not a restoration of his body or a restoration of his life. Lazarus, on the other hand, was resuscitated. Jesus was not resuscitated because when he rose from the dead, his body was not the same anymore. He rose in a glorified body. Lazarus was not resuscitated with a glorified body. When he came back to life, this Lazarus could not do anything extraordinary that he never used to do before. But Jesus, when he came back to life, he was able to do certain things that were extraordinary. For example, he was able to appear and disappear in places that were locked. Remember when he goes into the house where the disciples are meeting and all the doors are locked, and there he appears. He appears because his body is not the same anymore. It is a glorified body. Today, Easter is referred to as the mother of all feasts. This Easter event is not only celebrated on Easter Sunday or the Easter Vigil, it is celebrated every Sunday because it is the mother of all the feasts. This event becomes the foundation, the pillar of the Christian community. The third part, I've already kind of alluded to it, is in his glorified body, Jesus appeared to different people at different times. Those appearances helped the disciples to dispel their fear. He gave them courage. They were able to go out and proclaim that indeed he was risen. But not only that, to also reawaken their faith in Jesus. Because now that they have seen him, both body and soul, they now believe firmly that indeed what he told them before was not just mere words. Now they believe that indeed this man is risen. So it kind of strengthens and reawakens their faith in him and in the event of the resurrection. We as Christians of today are also sharing in that same faith. The risen Lord today is not out there. Is not out there where we can go and look for him. The risen Lord is in ourselves. He is in us. And when we celebrate Easter, we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus not out there, but the resurrection of Jesus in our hearts. He is rising no longer from outside, but from within ourselves. So when we relive the Easter event, we are reliving it within ourselves. We are living it again, reenacting it within ourselves. So, having said all that, I think we can close here. Next week we are going to be looking at the 6th article of the Creed. The 6th article says, "He ascended into heaven and is seated at the right hand of the Father." So next week we shall basically be talking about the ascension of Jesus.